Hi, I'm Erin Allen, Program Assistant with Purdue Extension Hamilton County. Today, I'm going to share with you a few tips on finishing your arts and crafts project. The first example I have for you are these baskets. This basket here is very well done. Look at each side. Every part has been carefully placed and evenly spaced. The handle is well attached, so it's very sturdy and not coming off. If you look at the inside of the basket though, you may see some pencil marks. If your basket has been used prior to your display, you want to make sure it's clean. You might try erasing those marks or cleaning it in some manner, or possibly just making a new basket so that your finished product for exhibit is clean and neat. Each judge is looking for neatness and cleanliness. Here's another example. This basket has a broken piece here. Some of the inside is not quite as tight and evenly spaced as in the other basket. Now we'll set this aside and look at another project. This is latch hook. Again, the main thing is neatness and cleanliness. When you're doing latch hook, you want to kind of brush all of the yarn down and trim up any loose pieces. Here is one that needs trimmed. It's kind of long. As you look at the edges, some of these are a little bit frayed. While you're creating your project, you want to be careful to keep your yarn neat and even and keep it from fraying. This 4-H'er found a coordinating fabric, covered a pillow form, one side with the latch hook and one side with the fabric to create their pillow. Here there's a little stitching that can be seen. When you're stitching it on, you want it to make it as tight as possible so that you're not seeing all of the canvas from the latch hook. You want to get your fabric as close to the yarn as possible to make that the neatest finish as you can. When you're finished with your project, you need to look over it for yarn that needs to be cut off, strings that need to be trimmed. It should be completely ready for use. If you used a latch hook for a wall hanging, again, you should fold in the back side of your canvas, tape it down or sew it down, and make sure it has a hanger appropriate for hanging and ready for use. Here is an example of a blanket that's been tied. Whether you use a kit or you've cut all of your own patterns, make sure when you've tied them together, your ties are nice and even. Here's an example right here where the ties down here at the bottom are much longer than the ties here. You would want to cut these so that they are all as consistent as possible. A judge again is going to be looking for consistency in your item. The next item I have to show is this crafted hat. This straw hat has been purchased with flowers added around and a bow. This could be worn or used for a wall hanging. This 4-H'er has been using it for a wall hanging. Everything has been hot glued on. When you're using hot glue, be very careful. It dries quickly so your project can be ready quicker. However, hot glue can be very hard to work with and leave a lot of strings and mess. This may be difficult to see here, but there's several hot glue strings in these flowers and a great big hot glue mess right in this area here. You may want to consider a different type of attachment, whether it is a different type of glue or if you're making a wreath, perhaps it's using wires to wire it together rather than hot glue. Just be careful of all those finishing touches. A judge is going to look carefully for how that it is finished, that it doesn't have those glue strings and all the neatness that comes with that. The next example is jewelry. I've got a necklace here and a pair of earrings. When you're making jewelry, make sure again that you have it very nice and neat, an even pattern, that you have your attachments on well, so that when you give it a little tug, it's not going to come apart. The same thing with your jewelry. Make sure you've used your pliers to attach it well. You don't have any pokey edges, and everything is nice and neat on those. Here is an example of some beadwork. When you look at this, you can see that the pattern is very well done. However, the edges are not finished. This would make an excellent bracelet if you put some finishing edges here. Again, we're looking for a finished product that is ready to use. On any craft that you do, whether it's knitting or other needlework, the latch hook, the blanket, anything that you do, make sure you're picking colors that coordinate well together. For example, on this scarf, this has a nice maroon here with a blue and green finishing touch around the ends. Just looking for coordinating colors. Make sure that you have woven in all the ends after you have completed your casting off of your needlework. Here I can see the end right there. There's no way to completely hide that, I don't believe, so you're going to just do your best to tuck it in the best you can and snip it off to be as hidden as possible. The last tip I have for you has to do with fine arts, and really any craft that is to be hung. This project is a watercolor painting. Make sure to use a mat around the outside to keep it from touching the glass. Make sure that all of your framed artwork does have a glass. The exception would be oil painting, which should not be covered by glass. Your frames may be purchased or homemade. The important thing about framing has to do with the way your hanger is attached. This is a sawtooth hanger, and it is inappropriate for a 4-H exhibit. What we're looking for in a 4-H exhibit is a wire hanger such as this with the screw eye attachment into the frame. That makes it nice and sturdy, and it can be hung anywhere. With that wire hanger, it can easily be adjusted to be hung straight. Neither one of these examples are quite the right combination of what the back should look like. We need the wire hanger off this one here on the bottom, and the craft card that is attached to the back of this one. Every arts and crafts project should have a craft card like this one, filled out completely with the name of the 4-H'er, their club, their division, a description of the project, how many years they've been in that particular project or exhibit, and then make sure that you fill out this part about leaving a note for the judge, especially if your project is in a closed judging environment. This replaces anything that you might want to tell the judge if you could talk to them in person. Make sure to include details such as what type of paint that you used, for example, how many hours it took for you to work on the project, where you got the idea for your project, anything that you think might be helpful for the judge to know. It's better to have too much information than not enough. In review, the most important part of finishing your arts and crafts projects is to make sure they are nice and neat, clean, and completely finished and ready to use or display. Thank you for joining me for these few tips on completing arts and crafts projects. If you have questions about your specific project, please contact your 4-H club leader, the Arts and Crafts Project Superintendent, or the 4-H office for more ideas on how to make your project the best that it can be. Thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.